Misinformation about the conflict in the Middle East is easy to find online. So how can you ensure what you're reading and consuming is actually true? Here is tech expert and journalist Carmi Levy, who joins us now for more on this. Carmi, appreciate your time this morning. And just first off, how big is this problem of misinformation when it comes to this conflict? Is there any way to quantify it, and what forms is it taking?
Well, it's a significant problem. It certainly predates what we're seeing in the Middle East now. This goes back to the beginnings of the web, the commercial internet. As soon as we were all able to post anything that we wanted or could, there were no controls, and there is no technology, there is no process, there are no laws that stop us from sharing whatever we want in whatever context we want. But what's been happening since the attacks in Israel, the Hamas attacks, is significant. Media Matters, a research organization, has noticed a significant uptick in misinformation across all social media platforms. So things like doctored documents, misleading videos, videos posted out of context, old videos claiming to be new, video game content being passed off as legitimate footage from the region. All of these things, they're saying that it has absolutely gone, it's spiked, and the worst offender is X, formerly known as Twitter. They're tracking these things are absolutely through the roof.
Let's talk about the consequences of that.
They are significant. It's the kind of thing that creeps up on us. We don't notice as we're scrolling through our feeds that, misinformation is all around us. But bit by bit, it erodes our ability to tell truth from fiction. And in the larger scale, it can sway elections. You see something in your feed that gets you upset. It might change your vote. If you're an investor, you see something about a company that you're investing in, it might cause you to head for the exits or buy in. It moves entire markets. During the pandemic, we saw so much misinformation around vaccines causing people to make decisions about their health that probably weren't optimal. People were injured. People died because of these decisions. And, you get a phishing email that tries to get you to click on a link. That's a form of misinformation as well. And we all know cybersecurity statistics are also spiking. So it generally, it's negative, but it's the kind of thing that it takes so many forms that we don't necessarily recognize it as such. And as a result, we're particularly vulnerable to this kind of threat.
Carmi, I'm also curious about the current Meta and Google news blocking that's going on here in Canada and how that's affecting our news consumption. And is it adding to the problem of misinformation?
I hate to say it, Jeff, but it makes a bad situation worse. I mean, during times of crisis, we need all of the tools that we normally use, our digital tools, to find out what's going on. And of course, now we can't do that on Facebook or on Instagram. And Google, of course, is threatening to do the same across its platforms. And so to find legitimate, properly sourced, vetted content from a real media organization is harder than it was before this conflict broke out. And what often happens in the absence of legitimate content is misinformation flows in. There's a vacuum. It gets filled with misinformation. So what we're seeing now really is it's a combination of things. A global crisis followed by less legitimate content on the platform, which essentially means there's more muck to sort through. It's harder for us to find what we want. And of course, Canadians could go directly to the source, could go to the websites of media organizations, could download the apps, but as we've seen very clearly, that isn't always the case. We're used to going to our feeds, and if it isn't there, we'll take whatever's in them.
Okay, let's hone in on sorting through that muck, because now I want to ask you, how can we make sure what we are looking at, what we are seeing is actually factual? I mean, I was looking at a video, Carmi, the other day, and then I kept clicking and tracing this video back, and I realized it was years old.
And that's the thing is that, we see something in our feed and it moves us emotionally and we're triggered. We want to respond to it. We want to engage. We want to share it. But the first thing we need to do is step back and take that time. And Carolyn, you did the right thing. You took the time to determine whether it was or was not legit. You slowed things down. You hit the pause button. That's what we need to do. Take the time, give yourself the time to check those sources, make sure that you know beyond the shadow of a doubt where it's coming from and that you trust the source of of this information, and that you've answered all of those questions. Is it old? Is it out of context? Does it look like it's been doctored? Does it look like AI has been used to create it from scratch? And then if you think that it is something that qualifies as misinformation, don't just move on and ignore it. Report it. Use the tools that are built into the platform to let the platform know this is misinformation, because ultimately what it does, it teaches the platform this is not the right kind of information. It needs to be dialed down. It teaches the algorithm to suppress it so that it won't go viral. Don't engage with content that you think is questionable, because that also triggers the algorithm. It raises its popularity. It ensures it gets in front of more people. Whereas if we just back away, it kind of sinks and disappears. Look at your own networks. Are you following people who are regularly sharing this kind of content? Are you engaging with them? Because that is also helping to give it a larger audience. Stop following these people, unfriend them, disconnect from them, get them off of your networks. And then I think this is, partly related to mental health is, when it reaches a certain point where it's just too much, get off of social media entirely. Stop using it, or even delete the apps temporarily from your device, just so that you're not engaging. And, again, that certainly has a benefit from reducing the spread of misinformation, but it also has a mental health benefit.
All right, certainly some important information for our audience as we head into the weekend. Carmi, appreciate your time, your perspective, and your expertise as always. Thanks so much for this morning.
Great being here, guys. Thank you.